Hey, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me all right.
Juan
We have
Weagle says
a
it would be
Charlie
crazy if
Kirk
they have him in
press
custody. I mean,
conference that's
who
going to be
knows?
starting here pretty soon.
They did, as a viewer, point out just.
I thought it might be interesting for us to tune in and see what they have to say.
Thank you, Ed Callie.
This is Steve Lookner's stream, by the way. He always has really, really good content. It's all news. It's agenda free, which is nice. But there it is. They're getting ready to get started here.
I'm going to change the headline.
Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mic check, mic check. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. One, two, three. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Mic check. One, two, three. Mic check, mic check. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Does that work? Did that work, Steve? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing.
I'm going to take the clock. We don't need the clock at this point. It'll either still start when it starts.
They called a press conference in
1,
regard to the
2, 3.
Yeah, we can turn that down.
1, 2, 3.
Press conference in regard to the Charlie Kirk assassination. I'm really sad about that, guys. I know he's a polarizing guy. But man, we got to be able to do better than that, right? When we have differences of opinion. We got to be able to handle that better.
Keep going. 1, 2, 3.
They're just getting ready to get started,
5,
guys.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check. This is a mic check. Utah Valley University. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Again, we're watching Steve Lookner's stream on No Agenda TV. Pretty awesome guy.
I know there was a little issue with the audio video sync, so I'll do my best to fix that. If
That's
the press
Steve Lookner there.
conference starts and the audio and video are a little off sync, I'll fix it during the press conference.
I'm not sure what they're going to announce here. I don't know if they have any new information.
I thought I just heard somebody say 5 minutes, but I'm not sure. Oh, maybe she'll say 5 minutes.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Again, if you're just joining us, there's a press conference that will be starting here in a couple of minutes in regard to the Charlie Kirk incident. I don't know if they have any new information. I don't know if anybody's in custody yet. As far as I know at this point, there is nobody in custody. They're still searching. They have released a couple of pictures of the suspect today. But we're waiting to get started. Yeah, I don't know
Thank
what's
you,
going on.
Eutheka.
We'll see.
Yeah, Eutheka, I think we talked about that address before. We already discussed it, but thank you, Eutheka. Also, Shrimp Wagon. And Julia Gulia. And Nicholas Cunningham Bowman, Mama 457 Rose, HGRM 333, Dr. Ed Calley, Kimo Sabi, Hey New Girl, Sparky Pilot.
There's a lot of things that Charlie Kirk said that, you know, I struggle with and I would argue with
Hola,
him
mic check,
about.
mic check. 1, 2, 3, mic check. Sí,
But,
me escuchas? 1, 2, 3. Mic,
Man, I
mic
really
check,
respect
mic
Hold
that
on.
he had the
My
guts to say
Siri
it.
turned on.
Mic
Hold on
check.
1 sec.
And I also was impressed with his willingness to go on other people's podcasts that he disagrees with. That's a tough thing to do, go into enemy territory. And I'll show a little bit of that if we have some time tonight. One of the first times I heard him speak outside of his regular kind of turning point setting is he joined Cenk and Anna on the Young Turks during the Republican National Convention and sat down for a little while and they talked. And it's a great conversation. I hope they have time to look at it. It's a great conversation. It's you know, they don't agree with each other, but they're able to talk to each other like humans, which is pretty cool. We're waiting for this press conference to start, everybody. Waiting for the press conference to start.
Oh, I have a second feed too. I should see if this is any better. See if the sound is any better. I have a second feed I can use. Let me just get it here. Hang on. Just in case I need it, I'm getting a second feed ready. Just in case. Oops, that doesn't work. Why is that like that? Oh, I see. Oh, I don't want that.
Looks like they're still getting ready to get started here.
That's the other feed right there. That's the other one. Now, how's the sound on that other one? If I do this, give it a second. That sound is better. I'm going to go with this feed for now. There's two feeds. This feed has better sound. So I'm going to try this feed, and we'll see how that works. This is the one I'm going to try. If it's not good, we'll switch to the other one. But the other one had this it's kind of noisy, the hissing. I'm not hearing the hissing on this one. So again, if there's anything wrong with this feed, I'll just switch to the original one. But this one I think will be better for you for the sound. But again, it's good to have two, because if something's wrong with the first one, we'll just use the second one.
We're just getting ready for this conference to start. Could be starting anytime. This is a live event, so
Any moment now.
who knows?
Ken Delanian from NBC News says that Bo Mason, the head of Utah's Department of Public Safety, tonight told NBC that authorities have no idea about the identity and location of the killer. Now, maybe things have changed since he said that to NBC.
I mean, did they drop the ball? Did the police drop the ball? Is this guy such a mastermind? I mean, maybe he is. Oh boy, he really seemed to slip right through the cracks and get out of there while they were arresting or detaining two other people. Two other people. I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. Did they drop the ball? Did they drop the ball? The FBI released a couple of photos today of his, of his attire and what he was wearing. They have some good shots of him. He does kind of look college age, I suppose. But if he is a mastermind, he didn't go to school there. Because if he did go to school there, man, you'd think they would have found him by now. They'd at least know his name, I bet. I don't know. I'm guessing he's not a student. Is anybody watching a fan of Charlie Kirk? He was very, very polarizing. He was very polarizing. But he did have a number of, there was a number of appearances that he made that I think impressed both sides. And I took issue with a number of the things that he said. And that's okay. I think that's okay. And I think if you would have asked him, that's okay. But I saw him do an appearance on during the Republican National Convention, where he did an interview with Cenk and Anna from the Young Turks. And that was pretty good. That was pretty good. If they don't get started here in a minute, I'll show you some of that. And it's interesting. I think there's a lot to like on both sides of it. I'm going to set that up. We'll get that started. It's so interesting. It's so captivating when there's a manhunt. Remember when the guy shot the executive for United Healthcare? How many of you were glued to the TV like I was when that was going on? It's just such a bold move. And the same, of course, with Charlie Kirk. Could you possibly believe that you're going to get away with it going in? Do you go in and just say, I'm going to do something terrible, and I'm probably not going to get out of there? The guy that attempted to assassinate Trump, of course, he killed himself. I kind of wondered if that was going to be the case here. There was that only that one shot, and then lo and behold, subsequent to that, you saw ring cams of this guy walking around the neighborhood in his jeans and a t-shirt and a hat. See if they're saying anything yet. Waiting for this press conference to start. This is in Orem, Utah.
It seems like they're still working on the computer back there. Are they going to show something? Maybe they'll show a visual. Maybe they're going to play a video. Any chance that they will play a video? Surveillance video? Maybe they'll play the TMZ video.
This is Steve Lookner talking, by the way, from Agenda Free TV.
This is a scary situation. This person who did this is still, as far as we know, still on the streets, still at large. I do wonder if they're going to play any of the CCTV, of one of our viewers said the CCTV footage. That guy's with the FBI back there.
We're waiting for this press conference to get started. As I was saying before, Charlie Kirk went on the Young Turks show during the Republican National Convention, and he, Cenk, and Anna had a conversation together. While we're waiting for this thing to get started, I'm gonna show that to you guys, and anxious to hear your thoughts about it. There's a lot in it, no matter which side of the aisle you are. I think there's a lot in here for you. Check it out.
All right, back at the Young Turks at the RNC. Cenk Ugranic is sparing. As you can tell, Charlie Kirk joins us.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has. Good to have you here from Talking Points USA. And so
Close.
Turning Point.
Oh, did I say that? That's hilarious. I meant Turning Point
so
USA.
close, Cenk.
That was a Freudian slip. Okay, so Charlie, you and I now have some strange agreements. Okay, so
The whole world is just it's coming to an end.
right. So, but believe me, we have plenty of disagreements, and we're going to get to it. So we both think Biden's a bad candidate. We both say that we represent the populist wing of our parties, right? So let me start with a simple question. Do you want Biden to stay the Democratic nominee?
Boy, that's a good question. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that he's probably the most beatable right now. I would think so. Yeah. Especially Democrat corporate oligarch Biden. The more that he's leaned into kind of more of the progressive stuff over the last couple of weeks, I think it makes him harder to beat. But I just don't think he's not all mentally there.
Okay, good one.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the vulnerabilities on the right. You know, one thing that I've noticed you say, other members of conservative media say, is that, you know, the female vote is a lot more difficult for conservatives, right? Or for the Republican Party. That the unmarried women are more likely to vote for Democrats. That's the problem. We need to get women married and they'll change their political views. But honestly, I wonder if you realize statements like the one you made at a Turning Point USA event. You said something along the lines of, well, women are past their prime once they turn 30, right? Do you ever wonder whether those kinds of messages might actually be, a little offensive to women, and then they might think that represents the entirety of the Republican Party? It's not exactly the most welcoming message for women.
Well, I mean, first, what I said specific, it's close to what I said, but what I said is as women get older, the dating pool shrinks, which is obvious. And I think you would agree with that. So, I mean, unfortunately, that's the biological reality we live in. But yeah, look, I mean, we do a big women's summit. I think that our agenda is very popular for all people. But it's not a new phenomenon that young women lean liberal. But certainly since the, reversal of Roe versus Wade and bring it back to the States, Democrats have enjoyed some, I think, short-lived popularity with young female voters for sure.
Now, right here at the convention, you said that all men should vote for Trump.
Well, I didn't say, well, I do think all men should vote. Yes. I said that you're not a man if you don't vote for Trump.
Yeah, that's even worse, of course.
Yeah.
So look.
I mean, come on, Cenk, look at that. I mean, can your candidate do that?
Yeah. No.
No.
And so, look, I'm honest.
Who's your preferred candidate?
Oh, I would never.
You think Bernie could do this? If Bernie got shot, would Bernie do this?
Look, I hope nobody ever gets shot.
How about Gretchen?
We never find out. We never find out. Hey, Gretchen Whitmer almost got kidnapped by you guys. So, she was pretty courageous on that too. So, okay. Anyway,
but do you think Gavin Newsom would do this? He got shot. He would run quick away if Gavin Newsom got shot.
So, but
I'm giving you a hard time,
Charlie. I know, Charlie. Look, I said that Trump that day was courageous.
You were legit. That's why I'm here today. Is because you were like one of the honest guys on the left that was like, okay, that's pretty ballsy.
Yeah, no question. He did a great job. And I love when the crowd chanted USA, USA, because the president had just been saved, right? And so former president, but we still call former presidents President Trump, et cetera. And that was a great moment. He says, fight, fight, fight. They say USA, USA. I love that. That makes me proud of America, okay? Now, having said that, you know that has nothing to do with policy. So if you're a man who cares about fill in the blank, universal health care, paid family leave, a higher minimum wage, which leads to higher wages overall. You care about fighting inflation. You care about getting corruption out of politics. Why the hell would Trump doing that affect my vote at all?
That's a super fair question. And what I was basically getting at is that if this doesn't, as a man, earn you some political points of respect, that's what the essence of what I was saying. But of course, that you're electing a president, a set of policies in 4 years, and that's a fair critique.
Okay, so I want to ask you about Ronna McDaniel because you led the charge against her at the
Mitt Romney. I'm kidding.
Okay, you can call it whatever you want. Hey, listen, in a sense, I'm leading the charge against Jamie Harrison at the DNC. So
and one of us has been successful.
Well, give me time. Give me a minute.
I'm rooting for you, man.
Okay, so look, now even Jake Tapper today basically called Jamie Harrison a liar at the DNC because he is a liar. He's been lying the whole time, and he's lying about the Ohio issue now.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together/team.
But I want to ask you about your side. Sure. So what was your guys' beef with Ronna McDaniel?
Well, first of all, the grassroots didn't have a seat at the table, which I think you could sympathize with. The Democrat Party, I don't think, has a voice for the grassroots right now. And in fact, I think if I was advising Democrats, it'd be like, your power is in the Bernie Sanders wing of your party. Like, why are you not tapping into that? Not into this like old stodgy neoliberal warmongering, weak Bush Cheney version of the Democrat Party. But anyway, what am I to give advice to Democrats, right? But no, my critique of Ronna McRomney was that, yes, there's a track record of losing. Fine. Okay, I've made mistakes in the past. We're trying to all adjust. More importantly, though, is that conservative grassroots did not have a seat at the table. Is that we have an agenda that we felt was not being represented, not being listened to. And then there were some like very wonky parliamentarian things I think that you would agree with. And this like Robert Rules of Order, like how these parties operate, right?
Yeah,
they steamroll the little guy. They steamroll the states that aren't as important to fundraising. And we found that to be objectionable. And so we Donald Trump made the ultimate decision, but we led a very, very heated campaign against Ronna, and ultimately that was successful.
But hold on, one quick follow.
Here we go.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Hillary Kellner. I am the Communications Director for the Utah Department of Public Safety. This evening, we have FBI Director Patel, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, Governor Spencer Cox, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and Commissioner Anderson, as well as Commissioner Bo Mason, as well as some local partners here present with us today. Governor will kick it off. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate the media and the partnership we have with you in helping us to get information out to the public so that we can catch this assassin and hold him accountable. We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. So we're going to cue up the video right now. Show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
Thank you, Governor. Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video, and I'll narrate as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black T-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive T-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence. Good. You want to go to the stills? So here's the still photographs I mentioned. These have been enhanced, so these are slightly different than what we introduced earlier. Please pay close attention to the T-shirt. Like I said, very distinctive with that American flag and that eagle.
Covering,
the hat with the triangle and the sunglasses. If you'll go to the next picture, please. The backpack as well. All identifying features that we're hoping the public can help us identify and lead us to this suspect. Next picture. And again, there's a better picture of the hat with that triangle logo, and again the T-shirt. Blue jeans, and you get a good look at those Converse tennis shoes as well. We have pushed these out. We'll continue to push these out, and we just ask for the public's cooperation through the public. The tips that have been coming in are what are giving us our next leads and enabling us to continue to further this investigation. We've had great cooperation from the public, and we're continuing to ask for that as we move forward. Thank you, and I'll turn the time back over to Governor Cox.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mason. I want to thank Director Patel and his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have Mike Smith, who is the county sheriff here. We have all of our local chiefs of police that are here as well, all working hand in hand with the state and with the FBI as we move forward with this investigation. Now, I'll just give you a little warning. We will not be taking any questions at this time. We're giving you the latest information we have, being as transparent with everything that we have. But I do want to share a couple things that I think are important. We cannot do our job without the public's help right now. The public has answered our call for action. So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips. I would just note that the FBI hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing. This case also highlights the dedication of our law enforcement community. We have 20 federal, state, and local law enforcement partners that are working shoulder to shoulder to find the person who committed this horrific crime. With their support, we've completed nearly 200 interviews. As you're aware, as has already been reported, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. We also continue to implore the public to support this investigation and come forward with any information. We are truly hopeful that this video and new photos will lead to even more tips. We are processing. We have an incredible team, a state and federal team working together to process those tips. We are going out in tandem to interview any potential person of interest or suspects. But we need, again, we need as much help as we can possibly get. Any videos or photos that you might have, the public, should be submitted to our digital media tip line, which is www.fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. Again, that is fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. You can also provide general tips about the shooting by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI, or at tips.fbi.gov. This is, I would just say, this is not just a local matter here in Utah. We have people all over the country that are helping to bring this perpetrator to justice for Charlie Kirk and his family. I will just add as well that, as was mentioned, there is a lot of forensic evidence that is being processed right now at both the state lab and the and federal labs, federal lab on the East Coast. So we are working in tandem together. I would also just add a word of note for those people who are spending so much time on social media. I think Charlie said it best, that when things get bad, we should put our phones down and spend a little time with our families. There is a tremendous amount of disinformation. We are tracking our team, the state team, and I'm sure the federal team as well. What we're seeing is our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over the world that are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. I would encourage you to ignore those, to turn off those streams, and to spend a little more time with our families. We desperately need some healing. We'll have more to say about that in the days and weeks to come. More than anything, we are going to catch this person. Last thing I will just say is we've been working with our attorneys, getting everything that we need, affidavits ready, so that we can pursue the death penalty in this case, and that will happen here in the state of Utah. Again, to the public, to those who are grieving, thank you for your prayers. I know we are feeling those prayers. I know the Kirk family is feeling those prayers as well. We pray that God will bless our nation at this very dark time. We can start healing by finding this perpetrator and holding him accountable, and we need your help to do that. Thank you.
That's it?
There goes Cash.
No one else is Cash Patel did not speak. Wow. I thought he was going to speak.
That shirt looks that coat looks a little big. That coat looks a little big on Cash. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about that? I have seen on social media comments from all over the place. I've been surprised on both sides, good and bad. Before the press conference started, I was talking about how one of the things that Charlie Kirk did impress me with, and I said, you know, I don't agree with him on a lot of things, but one of the things that did impress me was his willingness to talk with people that disagreed with him, and it created some very just interesting conversation. And I'm going to show you, we were watching a little bit ago an interview that he did with
weak Bush Cheney version of the Democrat Party. But anyway, what am I to give advice to Democrats, right? But no, my critique of Ronna McRomney was that, yes, there's a track record of losing. Fine. Okay, I've made mistakes in the past. We're trying to all adjust. More importantly, though, is that conservative grassroots did not have a seat at the table. Is that we have an agenda that we felt was not being represented, not being listened to. And then there were some like very wonky parliamentarian things I think that you would agree with. And you know this, like Robert Rules of Order, like how these parties operate, right?
Yeah,
they steamroll the little guy. They steamroll the states that aren't as important to fundraising, and we found that to be objectionable. And so we Donald Trump made the ultimate decision, but we led a very, very heated campaign against Ronna, and ultimately that was successful.
But hold on, one quick follow-up, Anna.
Sure.
So Charlie, here's what I don't understand about the Republicans. On the Democratic side, I think it's fairly clear because the establishment corporate Democrats have all the money. So the Bernie side has grassroots money, grassroots energy, but that's only earned. You have to actually deliver, otherwise the grassroots don't give you the money, right? So that's why the DNC says, well, I can't count on that because I'm corporate, I'm serving these donors, I'll never get the grassroots money, so I'm gonna halfway give up on that, and so I'm gonna be purely corporate, right? So on the Democratic side, it's really stark, right? But on the Republican side, the grassroots also has tons of donor money. So why do they object to the grassroots? They have no reason to.
That's an interesting point. It's because of their values. It's because the grassroots represent a value system that the Vichy French Republicans do not believe in, which is that we believe neoliberalism has been a failed experiment in the modern era. I think you actually might agree with part of that, both you guys.
I definitely agree with that.
Definitely.
But this is the thing I don't get, and this is why, for the first time, I find the convention, the Republican convention, so fascinating because I do see this growing faction of Republican voters who are headed in the direction of economic populism, right? They like Social Security, they like Medicare, they want better wages for workers, they want protectionism in regard to trade and tariffs. And I find that also fascinating, but at the same time, you seem to be empathetic to that message and to those desires by some Republican voters. At the same time, like on your show, you had this one segment.
Not a fan of Social Security.
Yeah, so
but let me clarify.
Wildly popular even among Republicans.
I'm just not a fan of things that aren't properly funded or go bankrupt.
So would you be in favor of lifting the cap on Social Security taxes in order to fund Social Security?
Educate me what that would look like.
So it's around $174,000 if I remember right.
So like rich people shouldn't get Social Security effectively?
No, not at all. They should definitely get it.
Everyone gets it.
Everybody should get it.
Regardless of age? Or
no. Everybody in terms of income, right? But because universal programs work better. Everybody buys into it because if the rich don't get it, they'll kill it. That's usually how it works.
But how is that any different than?
No. Hold on.
Getting taxed for Social Security past a certain income, and every year it changes. So, for instance, let's say you're making $200,000 a year. after about $174,000,
The FICA tax no longer
they
applies.
stopped taxing you
Oh,
on
I
Social
see.
Security.
Okay.
So
Yeah, and I'd have to think about that. That sounds like probably a good idea, but I'd have to like look at the counter argument.
Okay.
I mean, but look, as far as what my critique of Social Security is that it is going to go bankrupt soon, and it has been a lot of series of promises funded by debts and deficits. But yes, we have a moral obligation to fulfill the contract.
Hey, if you're just joining us, we just got done watching the press conference. If you haven't seen it, you can just rewind a little bit and you can kind of watch through that. We're having really kind of a conversation about Charlie Kirk here, and he's been polarizing. He certainly did not deserve to be killed. But what I liked about him is just his willingness to have conversations with people across the aisle. I was often one of the people that that disagreed with him on a number of things, but it doesn't really matter because we live in a country where everybody's allowed to say what they want to say, whether you agree with it or not. And I respect that, whether I agree with everything Charlie says or Charlie has said in the past or not. But just his willingness to go on the Young Turks, which if you've never seen that show, I think it's pretty cool. I think that it's I think there's a lot for people on both sides of the aisle on there. But whether you agree with it or not, this is a good conversation between people that believe very different things.
That we have with workers that have paid into it for quite some time. And so, but we're fooling ourselves if we act as if this thing's going to be around forever. At the current pace, that's just not correct.
Okay, it definitely can be if all you do is lift the cap.
Okay, I'll take your word at it. I'm not in the weeds of Social Security policy wonkery.
Yeah, no problem. So let me see if I can find more agreement. Paid family leave. 84% of Americans agree with it. 74% of Republican voters agree with it. 12 weeks off for a mom after.
That's what we do at Turning Point.
Yeah,
we do 3 months family leave.
That's exactly what we do at TYT.
So we're another point of agreement.
Okay, so but we can't get corporate Republicans or corporate Democrats to say yes.
Well, I did not get that in 2002. FYI.
I think either Rubio or Romney pushed this. You guys could correct me. Yeah,
Romney
great,
did.
my favorite guy. But I'd have to look at what the European model does. But if we're actually, and there's abuses, of course there are. But yes, I mean, again, I'm not like a huge fan of like more government programs all the time. Just that's my disposition. But how about this? Instead of $200 billion to Ukraine, $200 billion to say that moms can stay with their babies for 12 weeks.
I mean,
we would definitely.
Okay,
yes.
then we have agreement.
Okay, because look, I think Russia did invade Ukraine.
They were provoked.
Now, all right, we can get into that disagreement.
See, I'm more based on war than you are.
No. Look,
You're
okay,
neoliberal now. I'm giving you a hard time.
No. Let me ask you the same
They
question.
were provoked, though. Come on.
Charlie, let me ask you the same question I asked Giuliani last night. So Trump keeps saying, and you guys all agree, oh my God, if Trump was president, we wouldn't have any of these wars. You say that?
Well, it's not speculative, Cenk. He was president, and we didn't have these wars.
Okay,
so it's not.
But he says it's because they know that not to mess with me.
The because is a guess. The point is you have to agree for 4 years we didn't have the wars. The because could be because of his stature, could be because of threats, it could be because of relationships or friendships. That's all a guess. I don't know and you don't know. We only know what happened for 4 years, which is no new wars first time in 40 years.
So, but he keeps saying, because they know that I'm tough. Does that mean that if Russia invaded Ukraine on Trump's watch, that Trump would have attacked Russia?
Well, but they didn't. I don't know the answer to that. So he is making an argument that they didn't invade because of our big military peace through strength, and I threatened to bomb the Kremlin. Maybe that's true, or maybe it's that he had the cojones to have a Helsinki summit and was attacked by his own intel agencies. And Donald Trump looked in the camera and they said, "Well, do you not trust the CIA?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't trust the CIA." Which was totally true, by the way. So I don't know. Like we're guessing as to the why, but we do know the what. Here's the what. Under Biden, we do have more war, and war is terrible. Under Trump, we had no war. And so the why, we'll argue forever, Cenk, but you have to at least agree on the reality that there were no new wars under Trump.
Some areas, I actually agree. And this is just me speculating. You're right. No one knows for sure. But I do think that Trump's stature and also the fact that he's a bit of a wild card and you don't know whether he's going to be a rational actor did dissuade people like Putin from, so I'll give you that.
Thing, right?
No, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but I do have a very specific question on something Trump did that could have led to a disastrous war. Luckily, it didn't. But the Iran nuclear deal, right? The Iran nuclear deal prevented Iran from developing nuclear weapons. And it had a way of ensuring, like, it wasn't just between the United States and Iran. There were other countries in the international community who signed onto that deal, and Iran allowed for members of that community to go in and check to make sure that they were not developing nuclear weapons. Trump took that, ripped it up. And then for a while, Iran still followed through with the deal, even though Trump ripped it up. They didn't need to. And then after a while, they're like, you know what? There's a lot of antagonism toward us. We're going to develop the nuclear weapons. And so they started enriching uranium again. Then you have.
If you're just joining us, this is an interview that occurred a little over a year ago at the RNC between Charlie Kirk and Cenk and Anna from the Young Turks. And this, we're watching the feed as it was presented by the Young Turks.
Have the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, which, did lead, that was aggressive, and that could have led to an even bigger disaster. There's already been some retaliation by Iran toward our troops as a result of that. So can you at least acknowledge that there were at least some areas where Trump was belligerent in regard to international policy?
Yes, and the argument that his camp would make, again, I'm not a spokesperson for Trump, okay? I'm just an admirer, friend, and an advocate, is that because of the hawkishness in certain elements that it created peace. And it's hard to disagree with that. I'm not a fan of trying to go to war with Iran. I don't think the Iranian regime is moral or good, but I have a consistent mantra that has been developing over the last decade, and I think a lot of Americans are with me. Foreign abstractions mean far less than pressing domestic crises. And so it's just like this war with Iran is a weird, fanatical obsession with some people in my party that are here right now, like Senator Lindsey Graham. And it's insane, and it's weird, and it's destructive to our own country. And I speak about it both publicly and privately. And you know who also is sympathetic when I'm saying? JD Vance. And so that's a fact.
Well, so I want to ask you about that as well. But so you mentioned Ukraine. We've given $300 billion to Israel over all these years. You want to stop giving money to Israel?
No, I don't. I think it's not the same thing. Happy to tell you why. And I've made the argument before. First of all, I will agree. It is deserving of explanation why the aid to Israel went from 14 billion to 26 billion just like magically overnight. That's like, again, I'm like super Israel, like, guys, come on, like, you just can't just make up numbers and just start. But no, I will say this as someone who is a believer in a place for American Jewry to have a country and a state. I do believe that it is worthy of some form of aid. If it's repaid, if it's in American arms. Again, I'm not a policy wonk, guys, on that stuff. But I do think that protecting a nation of Israel in a time of crisis is not the same as assisting Ukraine.
Let me ask you something even more specific in regard to our aid to Israel. The United States has not had a budget surplus since 2001. That was literally the last time we had a budget surplus. Israel had a budget surplus in 2022. Okay, the pandemic didn't matter. They still
that's a very good argument.
Right. So
I can't disagree.
That American taxpayers should fund the bombs that Israel is dropping on Gaza is ridiculous to me. But
so you mentioned JD Vance. You're an advocate for JD Vance. Tell me why you're excited about it.
He's a friend, so I'm super biased. But I mean, he's a younger person on the ticket. I think you guys can agree if Biden remains, which you don't think he will. And I want to pick your brain on that. Like, actually, I'm super interested. Is that we have 81, 78, 59 is the ages of the three people in contention, and now you have a 39-year-old. So I think it's an interesting new wrinkle. And he also is not a neoliberal, and we very well could have had a neoliberal on the ticket. And he is a legit conservative that understands the America First agenda that you see here on full display. And so I'm hopeful that this new viewpoint is going to be permanent in the Republican Party.
Are you worried that his stance on abortion, which is no exceptions in rape and incest, will be very damaging to the campaign?
No, I don't. I think he has said that he agrees with the president, sent it back to the states. I think he's been really fair, and now it's a joint ticket. And so he will harmonize his views with that at the top of the ticket.
Okay. And if you guys are populists, how do you feel about the giant corporate tax cuts that Trump gave the last time around, and then this time around, he's saying he's going to do even more corporate tax
Well, it
cuts.
depends on. So part of it was really good. Part of it was a small business relief and tax cuts. Some of it was for families and for workers. I think I could agree of all the legislative priorities that we as conservatives were pushing for, making sure that Google was going to have a lower effective corporate tax rate was not the best use of our legislative energy. But I do, and you know this, I'm a conservative, so I have a disposition towards more money in private sector pockets is better than public sector pockets. However, this is the evolution of populism, is that we do not like centralized power, and you must be consistent that centralized power in government or centralized power in corporations are both bad. And
okay, now we're getting
you must be consistent, and especially when you have a small subset of multi-trillion-dollar corporations that are largely unaccountable in the tech space. And you've had your own tech wars, guys, and so have we. And you know, for example, being censored, being banned, and all that. So yeah, like I mean, cutting the taxes at Goldman Sachs is like, I can't say that I'm like it's my number one issue to oppose, but how about you guys go deliver actual results for the voters that put you in there in the first place?
Okay, look, if you guys agree with us, I'll take yes for an answer. And
there was more nuance there.
But yeah, I hear you. All right, last one on policy, money in politics. So for us on the left, that's the number one issue, because that's what leads to all this corruption in the first place. Why do we give money to defense contractors endlessly? Because they give money to the politicians. Why do we give money to the oil companies? You want to drill? No problem. We can have that debate, right? But why are we giving $20 billion extra of taxpayer money to the richest corporations in the world? And it's because they give money to politicians. The money in politics is the original cancer. What do you think?
I don't know if it's the original sin. I agree with a lot of that, by the way. I would love your guys' thoughts. So you guys, because when I first was at Politicon, this was like a huge issue, Citizens United. That's like 7 or 8 years ago, because that was like my biggest interaction with like really left-wing activists. What do you think of a lot of left-wing forces embracing the dark money? Are you guys not fans of that? Like,
no.
Okay, Lorraine Pell Jobs, Emerson Collective, Arabella Advisors, Democracy Alliance.
No.
Okay, cool. So we agree, because I think that's like creepy and weird. Like the fact that the Democrat Party has a much better organized billionaire class of funders than even the Republican Party does at the moment. But what is your question? Do I want campaign finance reform, or
how about we end the private financing of elections? Because if you if you privately finance elections, they're going to serve private interests.
So this is a tough issue, and let me tell you why. However, you know, presidential elections were that way from Nixon to Obama. That both candidates took public. There is a law actually that as president you get your election publicly financed.
If you're just joining us, just real quick, we are watching Charlie Kirk being interviewed by the Young Turks, Cenk and Anna. Obviously, well, not obvious to everybody. It's obvious to me, but these are people that don't agree with each other. But everybody that's sitting at this table is capable, including Charlie himself, of having a productive conversation, even about things we disagree with.
Up to about $700 million. However, you could decide to not take the money, which everyone does, because you can raise more money that way. So let me, and
Obama is the first one.
He broke the tradition.
Yeah, he broke the tradition and took more
because of small dollar. And
that's right.
And then we haven't gone back.
That's
now,
right.
Theoretically, right now, Donald Trump could say, "I'm going to take the $700 million," but it's a $3 billion race. You're going to lose. But I'm seriously interested from a policy perspective. What does that look like? That means that the U.S. taxpayer should fund every dog catcher running in every state. Like, no, actually,
yeah.
And I'm not being facetious. Like,
no, I totally get it. So what happens is not everybody gets money. You have to prove that there's enough support for you that you should be one of the candidates that does get money. And you do that with grassroots support, signatures, et cetera, et cetera.
Do third-party candidates also get?
Yeah, so it depends on how you set it up, but it certainly could be that way, yes.
Okay.
And I would want it to be that way.
So Bobby Kennedy, would you get it appropriated based on your polling data?
So there's different ways of doing it, but yes, that could be one metric as to how we do it.
Is there still a carve out for small dollar donors to still give money?
No, definitely.
So you're not against the mom and the pop and the plumber getting money.
Exactly right. Okay. You know why? Because they're the average American that the politician should be serving anyway. So, but you cap it at like $100 or $200, and then you say, and we're not going to give it to you unless you qualify. And once you qualify, you're going to get the same exact money. Now let's have an intellectual debate. Let's have a real debate of ideas instead of who's got more money. Because you're right. Right now, the Democrats have more money. And so the Democrats can just go and buy any seat they want if they have more money than the Republicans. And that's not fair. So it's also not fair when the Republicans have more money.
What do you think is the weakness in this policy, if there is one?
I don't think there actually is much of a weakness. I'm an expert on this, and only because I've been working with Larry Lessig from Harvard Law for all these years. He's the godfather of the movement to get money out of politics. This has been thought through in every way. The reason it doesn't get done, Charlie, is because all of the current politicians, their base of power is the donor money. So they don't want to let it go. That's how they got elected.
So in other countries, so let me take a step back. So if our idea is to become populist, right, and to listen to voters, why is it in other countries that have publicly financed elections in the last couple of years, we've seen them embrace mass migration and funding Ukraine when their voters don't want it?
No, that's an interesting question, because those countries are actually swinging back and forth, and they're constantly choosing the new candidate for change, because we all live under corporate rule. And all those, whether it's Brazil, France, UK, they're all swinging. They go Brexit, then they go a massive labor victory.
Correct.
Right? In France, they go Macron when he's new. Now that he's the incumbent, they go against Macron, and they go even further left than Macron when they were about to go right. It's not right left. It's not right left. It's change. They go Bolsonaro in Brazil, then they go Lula, and it's because they don't have entrenched power that comes with corporate money being given to politicians.
Right. Well,
we're the most corrupt because we legalize bribery.
Yeah,
Fair
it's
enough.
baked into our system.
Totally, I agree. But let me ask. There's a Citizens United question I'm super interested in, because you guys have to, which I think is the weakness in your point, and I'll get to that in a second. But I guess, why is it then that mass migration has gone uninterrupted if the voters want it to be stopped?
So that depends on a number of things, but Le Pen nearly won in France.
Okay, fair enough. So that's the answer, is that it's actually showing signs of life that.
And Trump is winning now here, and Trump won in 2016. I mean, look, and that's a movement, even with all the money in politics, still, you guys had the advantage there in 2016. You have it again in 2024.
Well, and we have hopefully the people, not just the.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Despite the money in politics, and the corporations do want more immigrants in the country, you guys are still leading on that because of the big movement. And in France, that's why they almost elected far right when France is not far right at all.
No,
so I get that drives voters.
So let me ask you now about the only money in politics weakness I have is this, is that the way you regulate it, and this is the Citizens United case, is that would the Young Turks be considered a Democrat super PAC?
I mean,
that's not a facetious question, Chip.
No, I totally get it.
That's actually a good faith question, because you see what I'm saying?
No, I do. So,
because turning
the media,
right?
No, same thing applies for both of us. Okay, you have to carve out media. First of all, it's a constitutional issue because freedom of the press.
That's why they decided Citizens United the way they did.
No, I know that.
Hillary Clinton book, as you know, is the essence of the.
Yeah. So I know this sounds pretentious, but it's okay. JD Vance is from Yale Law. I debated the guy who won.
I didn't go to college. So
okay, I know. So I debated the guy who won Citizens United case and Floyd Abrams, the top constitutional lawyer in the country at Oxford, and beat him 2-1. Not because I'm that great at it, because it's so obvious, right? People don't want our politicians controlled by the money that they are getting directly or indirectly. When it comes to media, there is no way to solve that. Even in countries that don't have the money in politics problem, they still have media. And so media is going to be right, media is going to be left, media is going to be in the middle. You can't end media because then you have a freedom of press and freedom of speech issue.
Hear me out then. So let's just say the billionaire class can no longer give money to Joe Biden or Donald Trump. Why wouldn't they go spend $100 million and publish books in media and distribute them?
They would. They definitely
okay,
would.
So then this.
No, I know that.
The system is
but Charlie, think about it. No, it's not. So two things. Number one, it's not going directly to the politicians. So that creates,
fair enough. So it's some distance.
It's a significant distance, right? So for example, if they gave it to us, I'm not going to go and advocate for politicians just because somebody gave us money. I know others would. I know others would, okay? But they have to win over an audience. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, hear me out. If you're a billionaire in January of an election year, you could stand up a shell corporation with $100 million, run a bunch of ads and call it, Patriot Media or People's Media, and and do a bunch of attack stuff against. What I'm getting at is, at the essence of the Citizens United case, and I know your audience knows this very well, was that, is it constitutional to write a criticism? Is it a campaign finance violation if I were to write a book against Hillary Clinton and they argued, they said, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but that's not more than media. We're talking about, how about people? Let's take a step back, okay? What if Taylor Swift were to come out, theoretically, and she would say, go vote for Joe Biden? Is that an in-kind political contribution for his campaign?
So you can't stop that. But Charlie, you don't have to stop that. You're saying, well, currently they could fund media, and they do, right? And they could fund the politicians and the super PACs. Well, then they have three different massive ways of influencing the politicians. So why don't we knock out the two that are the most direct, giving directly to politicians and the super PACs? Then you've got the media issue. But at that point, and it's not that it's impossible, but they have to say, like, let's say they want a giant corporate tax cut for Google, that we don't want it, you don't want, right? And so then they go, oh, we have a show here that tells you how great it is to do tax cuts for giant corporations.
Yeah, stuff, right?
Right, it's not going to work. It's
but
a lot less likely to work than, here, Joe Biden, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, take a check from Google. Now give me a goddamn tax.
Yeah, but let's make sure we understand, though, that the direct, if you have to go, I understand, but the direct money in politics, though, is more limited than I think you're presenting it. It's like $2,700 limits you can give to super PACs. The super PAC technically is supposed to have some distance from candidates.
Yeah,
No, come on.
No, Cenk, I agree. It's a bunch of BS, right?
Okay.
It's a bunch of nonsense because they share data and all that stuff. But then but do you see any concern that this is regulating speech?
No.
And can I
No.
just make a point about the media angle? Look, I think that your point is a legitimate one. I think that your point is even more legitimate in an era where we had like 4 networks, and those 4 networks basically dominated the entire message in the country. Media is so much more diverse now, diversified, I should say.
And it's harder to control.
It's harder to control. There's a lot more competition. There's a lot more independent media. And so the idea of corporate interests buying elections through the media, it's just a lot harder to do in today's era, you know?
I don't know if you're getting a rap sign or not. If not, I can stay. But
No, last question.
I'm
so go.
sorry.
Last answer. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. No, you have a last question for me?
No, that was the one.
Oh yeah.
I just
So-
made a point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, but
Okay.
but look, I want to agree with you guys on something. I think it's repulsive and disgusting because I have things I want to see get done. And when for example, I want to see immigration restricted to this country. You guys don't agree, whatever. But I get blocked by the donor class.
Mhm.
And I get by institutional corporate that want a flow of cheap labor into the country. Now, it used to be a left-wing issue, actually more than a right-wing issue, to restrict immigration, and Bernie Sanders would have that. That's changed. But so I sympathize with you. For another example, I'm trying to say, like, let's not send money to Ukraine, and I'm up against all these institutional interests. I'm just not convinced that regulating speech is a good path to go down, and that's what that decision was ultimately was decided upon.
Yeah. So
But you might be right.
well, I'll take you might be right. And
I'm just
there's
saying,
a difference between
you
speech.
might be right.
Yeah, you and I can have a certain amount of speech. When somebody gives $1 billion, they get a lot more speech, right?
No, for sure. But hold on, hear me out. But your platform is worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Well, but I'm saying, no, but I'm saying, but if I were to do an influencer post, or you were, there's a value assigned to that. So it's easy to just throw the billionaires under the bus, but there is a price tag to us tweeting or us posting, right? That now has a new currency in the digital era that wouldn't have been a thing in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, much more removed, as we talked about. So last super quick question. Do you still live like a capitalist every day?
Every day. I watched back that video. It's so cringe. And it's like, we can all grow and, become better people. And yeah, I don't even know what that means.
I didn't either. That's why I wanted to ask. All right, thank you for joining us, Charlie.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, from Turning Point USA. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching.
That's a great way to end that interview. That's a great way to. Those guys respect each other. They respected each other and they disagreed with each other on almost everything, but they could still have that conversation, which I thought was pretty cool. All right. I wanted to show you guys one more thing and then we'll get out of here. This is very brief. I put out on Facebook last week, or I guess early this week, inviting any of the supervisor candidates in our area if they want to come on and chat with me. And I have a number of takers already. So we'll start talking with those folks next week. I wanted, for those that are a little scared to do it, I wanted to share this with you. And other than that, I'm going to let you guys go and get on with the rest of your day. And appreciate you watching the Charlie Kirk press conference. If you missed it, if you tuned in late and you missed it, just rewind it. Rewind this stream and you'll see it. So they're still looking for the manhunt's still on for the killer. They have surveillance footage of him that you can go back and see. They have pictures of him that you can go and see. And they put out $100,000 reward for his capture. So that's where we're at today. I'm sure tomorrow will be a whole different group of stuff. So appreciate you guys.